Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition. It's finally Friday, folks. It's a Friday edition with PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center studios. We'll have JC and we'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel today. If you stayed up last night, I couldn't do it. I fell asleep. Hockey loses. JC is our hockey specialist. JC, you're on the Titan More Hotline courtesy of Comfort Temp. How in the world? Okay, I'm gonna be a fan now. Okay.
Okay, fan.
I'm not a hockey coach.
How do you go ahead? I know.
But how do you leave the best player in the world wide ass open 10 feet from the net?
You stole the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, it's like playing 2-3 zone, right? You protect the middle part of the freaking basketball, in the paint, and we let the best player in the world. I mean, there wasn't anybody 40 feet from the guy.
Connor Hellebuck had no chance. And the funny thing is, they outshot Canada, and Canada I think has a deeper team, but the Americans outshot them. They outhit them. And you're right. They just had a lapse in defense on both goals that Canada scored when they were down 2-1, and Sam Bennett goes top shelf. They left him alone. And then, of course, there goes Connor McDavid. How nobody is on Connor McDavid. He just slipped through. That guy's a great skater, too. He's not just a great scorer. And he was by himself.
He's the best player in the world, wouldn't you say?
I would say that, yes.
Yeah. So I didn't realize this because, I do not follow hockey. I'll watch playoff hockey and Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So they implemented this Four Nations event instead of their silly ass
All-Star game.
Yeah. Best thing ever done then.
100%. And
so what baseball needs to do is, remember when they did that what was that tournament that they had with all the different countries?
With the Caribbean countries and so forth.
Yeah, they didn't do that. Now, football, you're just screwed because nobody else plays football.
Well, and you could include Japan. And the one nation that wasn't included in hockey was, of course, Russia. But they will be included at some point.
Who are the 4 teams again?
Sweden, Finland, Canada, U.S. And,
okay, so what was the format?
Well, I think it felt like, to me, it was it is a round-robin format. So everybody gets to play everybody, and then it's kind of like it goes to double elimination from there. So had Finland beaten Canada a few days ago, then Finland would have played for the championship. But Canada beat them. The United States lost to Sweden, but that's okay because during the first round of the round robin, the U.S. won both games. So Canada lost. They lost to the U.S. And here's the funny thing. We're going to have to listen to the neighbor from the north now talk about how great they are in hockey, superior, and all that.
They are pretty good in hockey.
Oh, they've got the best lineup depth-wise, and there's no question about it. But we match up with them. Absolutely we do. Austin Matthews is as a prolific a scorer as Connor McDavid. And Austin Matthews.
No relation.
No, but he plays for the Maple Leafs. And the funny thing is that what I loved about watching this 2QB was that not just the Stanley Cup atmosphere that it provided, but these players play on the same teams, and they were playing against each other. For instance, so you had Brad Marchand, who is the captain of the Bruins, playing for Canada in Boston. That was funny. You had Matthew Tkachuk going up against who plays for the Florida Panthers, going up against Sam Bennett and Sam Reinhart, who are Florida Panthers, and they're playing against each other. And I just really enjoyed watching how these guys played for different teams when they play on the same team. And you had Brady Tkachuk, an American, who plays for Ottawa, the Senators, a Canadian team, playing for America. It just really was a very good idea by hockey to do this, and it brought interest. And unfortunately, we were on the wrong side last night.
Yeah. So let's see. Cal on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Diplomas. How about Ricky Castillo, 4 under in round 1? Yeah, Ricky's there. I think Fred Biondi's there. Alex Toasty, former Gator, is 1 back. He's 6 under par.
Alejandro.
I think he goes by Alex.
Okay. Okay.
We did our Peachland Dental picks on
Yeah.
Wednesday. I don't have them. Maybe
Well, you had Harry Hall,
flash them up, but I did have Harry Hall. Harry Hall is tied for first at 7 under par.
and I had Frank Molinari. And
Where's he? Francesca.
yeah, he's -5, my Italian. So he's right there. The leader is -7. So we've got some interest here now to watch this. And
I have Aaron Rye, by the way. He's 4 under par.
Yes, you do. You have him, the Brit.
If he could putt at all,
mm-hmm.
My goodness, he's one of the best ball strikers. He wears 2 gloves. He's very methodical. Drives me insane watching him play golf.
Hate it.
He hits it so freaking straight.
Patrick Rogers was another pick of mine. He's 4 under, and Jake Knapp, the defending champion, is 4 under. He got his first win at this course last year to get his 2-year exemption on tour. So we have interest, and what makes it even better is that you can watch this tournament and go to the Hard Rock Sports Betting app, and you can find a player to finish in the top 20, top 10, top 5, and you have a real vested interest then watching a bunch of players that aren't the big shots. And I don't care, because if Harry Hall wins, and I have Harry Hall, his ticket cash is just as green as Scotty Scheffler's. So that's kind of cool. And QB, as I was watching the hockey a little bit last night, this little thing came across that we have hired an offensive coordinator by the name of Russ Callaway. Well, wait a minute. Russ Callaway was already on the staff. And then it says, while we hired this offensive coordinator and promote Russ Callaway, Billy Napier is going to still call the plays. So was that just a waste of money?
Well, it's just another way to keep Russ here, give him a little bit more money. It's
well, good for Russ.
Russ was very involved in calling the last 2 years. So I'm not going to waste my breath.
That's what I kind of was getting at.
Yeah. But we'll let Edgar Thompson ramble about
Edgar Thompson is coming.
So Mark says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel. Shane, you really scored an 84 your first time playing golf. I don't believe it. I did. The golf swing for most quarterbacks. Now there's some that I would say 90% of quarterbacks have kind of a natural swing because it's a natural, the shifting of the weight and all that stuff is very similar to throwing a football.
You know what's funny though is that you can find an athletic guy like a wide receiver, and you and I know a wide receiver who's very prominent.
He has zero chance playing golf.
SEC lore, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. May have the worst golf swing I've ever seen, and he's a great athlete, and he's a fantastic mortgage guy. But man, his golf swing stinks.
Terrible.
It's terrible. You know who else swings the golf club naturally are hockey players for
absolutely
obvious reasons.
Yeah,
and pitchers. Somehow baseball pitchers seem to have a good golf swing.
Yeah, Mark asked, did Spurrier get you involved in golf? No, I played 3 sports in high school, and then when you come to college and you're only playing one sport, you got to. I mean, I played the intramural basketball. I played the church league intramural softball because I was a baseball, football, basketball guy. But golf is it's the greatest sport in the world. Andy has a comment here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law. The Gators men's swim team will not win their 13th straight SEC title. Texas and NIL will beat them. I guess Texas has paid a bunch of foreign guys to go swim, I would assume, is my guess.
I mean, create your own Olympic team and play them. I mean, that's fine. Swimming, it's just racing. It's just another form of racing, right? That's, whoever gets there first. That's what it is. It's a race. QB, so yesterday, I don't know if you saw this. I don't know if you care, but the Big Ten commissioner and the SEC commissioner met in New Orleans. And this is what I find so amazing, is that these two guys spend all this money. They want to bitch about how tight budgets are. It's very tight. We're really crunching numbers here. So why don't you fly from Indianapolis to New Orleans, and I'll fly a private jet from Birmingham or wherever to New Orleans. And then let's go ahead and rent out a conference room about the size of this one right here. And then let's go ahead and make sure we have suites to stay in, because we have to talk about, rather than just picking up the phone or doing what we're doing, a Zoom call, we have to talk about how we're going to change the playoff, which, by the way, requires unanimous consent from every other commissioner in every other conference plus Notre Dame. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, let's change the seating. Greg Sankey, the genius lawyer, I guess, who went to Cortland State. And then we have Tony Petitti, a Big Ten commissioner. He's going to come in and he's going to tell us what we're doing. And they sat in a room, just like we're doing. And they said, hey, you want to change the seating? Because it was kind of screwed up last year. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Now, where are we going drinking? Or where are we going to go eat dinner tonight? And where are we going to go spend that $750 tonight for dinner between the two of us and whoever else we brought? It's amazing. It's amazing. All they did was basically say, in 2025, we're going to align the seatings with what the committee says. Genius! And we're going to make sure that Oregon gets to play a real 8-9 seed instead of the eventual national champions who have more athletes than they do in the first round of their game. Instead of saying, hey, why don't we figure out how to incorporate more home games? Now, they could have talked about that, but I don't think they did. And then in 2026, they were tight-lipped. They locked their mouths shut, and they said, we cannot say a word about 2026 because that requires a new contract. So there. And then I'm sure they'll get on their jets today after whining and dining, and they'll fly back. And if I ever hear somebody complain about how tight money is, I'm just going to remind them of this ridiculous little trip they took to New Orleans to do something that I just did in a minute and 5 seconds.
They could have had a Zoom call and got it done.
Incredible. I'm sure there were other options, other things, but the only newsworthy event that came out, the only reason they went was to talk about how to fix the seating. That is it. Because, again, you need unanimous consent from everybody, every other commissioner in this last year of the current contract, which will expire after this season. It's unbelievable. So I don't ever want to hear people bitching about money who are running programs or conferences or whatever. You know, they had record numbers of dollars come to them from the TV contracts, and we're sitting here worried about, it's tight, man. How am I going to get that volleyball team? I saw the North Carolina girls lacrosse team flying in on Delta Airlines when I was flying to Mississippi last Friday, which, by the way, Delta was only 3.5 hours late on their flight. And I missed the initial beginnings of our party to celebrate Kyle Morris on Friday night, but I made it. But the point is, I saw 25 girls and coaches and trainers rolling in on Delta Airlines in their outfits that were identical. I mean, they were dressed to the T. The North Carolina girls lacrosse team ranked 3rd in the country. They're going to play the mighty Fighting Gators who are ranked 5th in lacrosse. And they're going to play a game at 12 o'clock on Saturday, and then they're going to get right back on that plane. What do you think Delta Airlines charged their asses to fly 25 people?
They weren't on a chartered flight.
They were on Delta.
Right.
Yeah. Well, hey, have you checked?
They paid. No, because our
they get a deal on that.
What's that?
They get a deal on those tickets?
No. Well, maybe not a lot, but
look up Delta's flight price.
No, I understand that, JC, but they also book theirs way in advance because they know. So, for example, like men's basketball in the past has had to fly some games commercial. Okay. They try to charter as much as they can.
I get
spring sports do have to do.
So, if I'm the AD and I'm scheduling things, I have my North Carolina girls.
They could have got on a bus too, though.
Right.
Baseball has to do that.
And then maybe they could have scheduled a game with Florida and then FSU and then, University of Central Florida or something like that. And while they were here, played these games. But I think they just came down for one game against the Gators and then got right back on Delta. It blows my mind. I don't ever want to hear these people complaining about money. I don't know. I might not know what I'm talking about right here, but I do know that 25 tickets or 30 tickets on Delta Airlines on a commercial jet ain't cheap.
No, but it's cheaper than getting a private plane.
Falcon 500, yes.
Electronics World, integration and design specialist for smart home automation and entertainment, affordable local installation service and support. Go check them out, electronicsworld.net. We got JC here. We'll have Edgar Thompson. We're just kind of rambling today about different things.
Well, we're making good points. We're making
great points. We make great points on here. I got a lot of questions on YouTube about golf and golf clubs and getting lessons. I would recommend just finding a golf club. If you go to buy golf clubs, I would ask whoever is helping you, I'm a beginner, I'm a high handicapper, I'm not very good. Can you give me a forgiving type iron? Then you got to make sure the length and the lie is set for your swing.
Shaft is important.
Shaft is critical.
Regular, stiff, you got to figure that out.
There's a lot that goes into golf. It's expensive too, people.
And it's time consuming. So one of our friends that played last week has been complaining about his shoulder for about a year and a half now because he won't do anything about it to fix it. And he's still complaining about how much it hurts. And I'll see him today and I'll remind him of this. But what he's got the resources to have a 12-hole golf course built somewhere. I said, you know what, Jay, why don't you go ahead and build us a 12-hole golf course? That way it won't take us 4.5, 5 hours to play, and we can do it in the middle of the day and then go back to work or whatever. It would be a great idea. That's the thing with golf to me, QB, is that if you're going to do it, if you're going to play it, you have to have the time commitment for it.
Well, that's true. But I said this the other day. I don't know if you were on the program because somebody commented about a golf course. A lot of these high-end golf courses are coming out with these one-man golf carts to speed up play.
You did say that to me, yes.
It's just get in the damn golf cart, go to the ball,
write your book.
One person gets out, or the other person
book.
gets out, and then you drive to the other person's ball. The problem with golf is everybody in that foursome or threesome or whatever it is, they want to go over here to JC's ball. Let's watch JC hit. Let's watch it till it lands, until it stops. Now let's go over to my ball. No, that's not how you play golf. That if people did not do that, golf would be played in 3 hours.
The problems, the issues you have, QB. I mean, you know, I tell you, but you're right. You're 100% right about all this. And I, you know, that has to be learned though, QB. It's not just a normal thing. You have to figure it out when you're playing.
Yeah, I agree with Tony. Tony says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mello, only playing 12 holes seems like a waste of time. At that point, just play 18. Yeah, I cannot. If I go play golf, I am playing 18 holes. These people that go play 9 holes, I do not understand it.
Well, maybe they just have 2 hours at the end.
Well, then I just wouldn't even go.
I get it.
If I can't play 18, I'm not playing. Joseph says the QB, the Sharks are kicking off spring ball this weekend, and one thing is for sure, Baker Sporting Goods has us looking the part. Got to look good to play good, no doubt about it.
By the way, CRB, I have great respect for the Panhandle. You are absolutely right, and I hope you have fun at Rocky Bayou in Niceville. I don't know where that is, and I have never played it, but I have some friends in the Panhandle that have some really fun courses that are kind of hidden away that don't get talked about because everything gets talked about in the peninsula part of Florida.
Yeah.
Orlando, Tampa, Daytona, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, all that. But there are some good places in the Panhandle. And thank God for the Panhandle state of Florida. Thank God for the Panhandle state of Florida. I think you guys know what I'm talking about.
This is a text here. It says, Shane, if possible, I think it'd be great to have Torian Green on your show. I agree. I don't think people realize that it's hard to get guests because people have things going on, right?
Mm-hmm. And we start at 8 o'clock, by God.
Right. And yeah, the timing, but I've had multiple guests, and this is how athletes are. I try not to be one of these type of athletes. If you commit to something, I try to do it. Now things come up, they have to cancel or whatever. But also I know asking people, it's hard for them to get it done. So
Lamar Thomas's
playing that very well.
Lamar Thomas's brother is at Ironwood.
Yeah.
What's his name? First name? Oh,
Eric.
Eric. God, I love Eric. Eric might help you out there, Kanye Ron, as far as teaching pros go.
Well, how do you know where Kanye Ron lives?
Well, he said in Alachua County. So.
Oh, yeah. This text from Monty from Lynchburg, Virginia says, Shane, what is your opinion on Russ Callaway being promoted to OC? I have none. I mean, it's just a title in my opinion. I think Russ was very involved in calling the plays the last couple of years. But Billy will be the one probably calling it in. So,
yeah. Well, it's between Billy and DJ Lagway. That's the chemistry we have to have in Florida. By the way,
Taylor says, "Oh, you too. Now you got to play by the rules, Taylor." He says, "If my buddies are not watching me hit, if I hit one in the woods, I'm dropping another one, hitting again." That's great. That's great.
Oh, Taylor.
Tony wants to know, are you drinking cranberry juices?
How did you know? This is good for the prostate and it's good for infections. I have a little diverticulitis flaring up on me this morning, so I took some antibiotics.
Do we really need to know that?
Ciprofloxacin. Well, no, but you know, grapefruit juice. Now, here's the key about grapefruit juice. Right here. This is very important, folks. When you buy your grapefruit juice at Publix or wherever, you must get the kind that's expensive because there's no added sugar and there's a low sugar content. The Ocean Spray tastes better, but my God, the sugar and the added sugar they put in. So make sure you buy the sour stuff and mix it in with a little water, maybe throw a little dash of ocean spray in there, buy both. But predominantly you want to drink the stuff that's only got 9 grams of sugar. And by the way, since we're talking about health and wellness and nutrition, I'm down to 179. I took
Wow, JC, you're losing too much weight.
Took a picture this morning on the scale, 214 to 179. Now I've hit the goal. And it's going to be time to try to figure out how to keep this weight off.
Okay.
You, by the way, I texted you. Or maybe I didn't text you, but I need the 34s now. 34 inches. Okay, I'll get that done.
All right, so we've been rambling, but Mike says he just this is YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. He just got on here. You didn't miss anything, Mike. What do you think of some of the college football teams canceling their spring games? So Nebraska's canceled, USC is canceled, and Texas canceled.
That's right.
I
don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it at all. I mean,
I personally don't think you get anything out of the spring games in today's world. I think it's more for families to be able to, that probably aren't season ticket holders or busy in the fall or because it's so expensive or have little kids that you don't want to bring when there's 100,000 people in one little area. It's free. It's usually a good weekend to go watch baseball, softball, or other events on campus. But I don't know what you get out of it. I mean, they're boring as hell, quite honestly.
Well, I mean, just read what Texas says. One of the things they didn't want was to endanger player health. I don't know. I mean, they want to go to more of an NFL model and go in the summertime, do it during the summer. I don't know if the rules allow. I don't know any of this, but I don't care either. And that's the thing is that this is not. This is just something that they decided to do. But you'll get your orange and blue game, folks. Don't sweat it. I know it's important.
Yeah, we have not canceled ours yet.
Not yet.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Put some star power to work in your financial life, Campus USA. In 1979, I think I've mentioned this a couple years ago, but this is just mind-boggling to me. Iowa girls high school basketball game. Two teams, JC, in high school played 4 scoreless quarters in a game.
That's impossible.
It went into 4 overtimes, and one team won 4-2. I mean, look, they have to have this is because, they may have implemented shot clocks in high school basketball, or they're getting ready to, I think. Back in the day, they'd spread the floor, and people would just dribble, and you could run out the whole quarter. And maybe that's what they did, but that's This Day in Sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union.
More importantly, I got a good play for you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Alabama, Kentucky play in Tuscaloosa. Take the over. I don't care what the total is. Don't care. And take the over. Mississippi State's looking to win their 3rd straight. They can play at Oklahoma and get that done. And I think the other game to really keep your eye on is the noon game between Tennessee and Texas A&M, as well as the Missouri and Arkansas game at 8 o'clock that night. Missouri has woken everybody in America up with the way they're playing. But that Tennessee A&M game, maybe you want to take the under in that one.
Where's A&M and Tennessee playing, Jason?
That's in College Station. So
it's 11 a.m. start. Wow.
Yeah, it's going to be early, and I really don't know how high that number is going to be. They won't post the odds until tomorrow, but I like the under there, and I like the over in Kentucky. I think Kentucky and Alabama go up and down the court. Each team will score at least 80 points, so there's 160.
Yeah, Andy says on Facebook Live he loves the spring game here. Johnny Towns' tailgate's one of his highlights of the year. Yeah, Johnny, this foundation does a great job. They bring back a lot of former players of all eras there. I really agree with that. If you like to meet and greet some former athletes, that's what to be.
QB, the other thing is in Gainesville, that might be a much bigger event than it would be for people in Austin, Texas.
Or, I mean, look, let's be honest. Southern Cal has trouble getting people to come to a real live game.
Right. That's right.
That counts.
UCLA plays in a half-empty Rose Bowl, and they call it 50,000 and 60,000 fans, and that's what it is, but it's half-empty. Yeah, you're right. I mean, so I think geography has a lot to do with whether or not these things are attended. And so I think in Gainesville, the orange and blue game is a big deal, I suppose. Never has been for me, but I suppose it is for many fans, and that's important. But in Austin, Texas, man, I'm doing something else than watching the burnt orange and white game. Yeah.
We got burnt orange and white. We got a text here on the Titan Mark text line from Jimmy. He says, JC, you seem to like hockey. Who's your favorite team?
Yeah,
Let me answer that first.
No, shut up.
Jimmy, it depends on who is winning that year.
No, Jimmy, I grew up a Boston Bruins fan, and then when the Tampa Bay Lightning came to Florida as an expansion team, I took a big interest in them in the 90s because I got to go watch the game live. And that's the thing about hockey is if you get a chance to watch it live, it's so much different than on television, and you really enjoy it. Every time I've taken somebody to a Tampa Bay Lightning game, they have always been fascinated by the speed of the game, the intensity of the game, and the physicality of the game. I also like the Dallas Stars because my wife is a huge Dallas, Texas person, and she loves the Stars. So let's go Stars. So I like the Stars in the West, and I like the Bruins in the East. And when they suck like they do now, I definitely root for Tampa Bay because we're only 2 hours away. And I was happy to see the Florida Panthers, the hated Florida Panthers, win the Stanley Cup last year. I was very happy to see that.
Yeah. All right, let me get to some of these Facebook Lives. These are some good ones here. Asa. JC, get ready. I need you maybe look something up on Missouri. He says QB Missouri at one point was 0-10 in the SEC, and now everybody's predicting them to make the NCAA. What is their current record? And no, they weren't 0-10. They went 0-16 last year in the league. They're about number 10 in America, if I'm not mistaken. They are definitely they're probably going to be like a 3 seed in the tournament.
They're 20-6 and they're 5th in the league. Think about that.
20. Yeah, they have a chance to. When we talked on this show last week, we said the 4 teams that were probably going to have the double bye were Alabama, Auburn, Florida, and Texas A&M. I haven't looked at the stats today, but I'd lean towards Auburn, Florida, Missouri, and who knows about the other one because Alabama now has lost 2 in a row, JC?
Yes.
So, but no, Asa, they did not win a game in the league last year.
That's right. That was last year. They had a lot of injuries. It was not really the coach's fault. It's the same coach. Missouri.
Yeah, he may be getting them confused with South Carolina, who's
that's right. Missouri's 5th in the league. Tennessee's 6th in the league. Each team has 5 losses. It's amazing how great this league is. It's never been like this before. It's never been this good. And maybe this will be a season where we get 12 or 13 teams in the big dance. That would be spectacular. So,
yeah. By the way, Zach posted, just so we know, in our Peachland Dental golf picks. And this is outstanding. We got a picture. We need some golf pictures of me and you swinging here. I have Aaron Rye, Van Ruin, Justin Lauer, and Harry Hall.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yes.
You got Mateo Manacero, Carson Young. I think he shot like 80 something.
Yeah.
Francesco Molinari and Patrick Rogers.
Yeah. So Rogers and Molinari are right there. Your guy.
I usually know where all these guys went to college. I only know where maybe 2 guys went in this out of our 8 guys. Some of them didn't go to college. Yeah. Patrick Rogers is a Stanford Cardinal. I think Harry Hall went to UNLV, if I'm not mistaken.
It's great to see Alejandro Tosti at 6 under.
I think it's great that whatchamacallit?
Fred Biondi?
It's Fred. It's Ricky Castillo.
Well, listen, that was the national champions, man. If you ever want to feel good, look up that national champion golf team from the University of Florida beating FSU.
That was great
in the final. And the problem was it was so far away out in California, but it really was fun to watch. It was one of the things you'll ever watch.
Todd says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel, expect more FBS teams to not have a spring game in the future due to risk of injury and expenses to operate.
There you go. More conversation about operating expenses. So,
well, he would know. He is.
I'm with him.
Director of football ops at.
I'm with him.
Western Carolina.
But just thank God that, Petiti and Sankey got on their jets and they flew to New Orleans to do what we just did in about a minute and a half. I'm sure there were other conversations, but the big thing that came out that was newsworthy, that's really the only thing that matters, is that they're going to reseed to align with the committee seeds, or committee rankings, I should say, as opposed. Now, they're still going to have 5 guaranteed playoff teams from the conference champions, but you've got to make the seedings more aligned with who should be where they are.
Yeah, we're waiting on Edgar Thompson. So Jason,
Edgar Thompson, he's probably frozen to death in his Orlando igloo.
I don't know what he had to do.
He weighs about 106 pounds, and the cold weather's going through his bones.
Maybe. So listen, this is a good question here. We got a big weekend. If you're interested in watching Gator baseball, they got the Dayton Flyers rolling into town tonight. A guy on Facebook Live brought to you by Mel says, what are your thoughts on winning an SEC title or getting knocked out early, resting up for March Madness? That's a great question. You've heard Todd Golden talk about they're doing everything they possibly can to try to be the number one overall seed, which they still have a chance. Now, it's going to be hard. Gator fans have their orange and blue Gator colored glasses on when they talk about, well, we beat Auburn. We should be number one. Auburn has 13 quad one wins. The Gators have 5. Think about that. Their schedule's ridiculous. They're going to be their number one overall seed. Unless the Gators run through the SEC tournament and win it, I think we could be the one overall.
But what does the number one overall seed truly get you, really?
Well, they're going to get to play in the South.
Okay.
And they're going to play the worst team in the.
So I saw where the Western number
one. They're going to
play
like Mississippi Valley or somebody like that.
I get it. But if you're number one in the West, you know where your first 2 games are? They're in Raleigh. So that's how much. Yeah, as the Western number 1 seed. The first 2 games.
That doesn't make sense, Jason.
I saw Florida as a 1 seed out of the West playing the first round game in Raleigh. So I don't understand it. You explain it to me.
That person does not understand looking at the map where the west part of the country is.
I don't know if it's – I mean, it's centered around geography maybe in the Sweet 16 and on. But I think in the first 2 rounds, it could be anywhere. I mean, maybe not. Maybe I
think that had to be a typo or something.
I think I was wrong.
No way. I thought they'd be playing in like Boise or San Diego or somewhere like that.
Ask him. Ask Edgar. He'll know. But I could have swore that's what I saw was the number.
Somebody on here would know this.
Look it up there. Look it up. I didn't just make it up. I swear to God, I thought I saw that the first round for the 1 seed was in Raleigh out of the West.
Taylor wants to know, did the Canadians boo our national anthem again last night?
No, the game was in Boston, and yes,
they did boo. There were a ton of Canadians there. We booed their national anthem.
We booed theirs, and I'm sure they booed ours. And I'm sure after the game at the train station, there was a lot of physical altercations between Canadians and Americans.
See, I am so disappointed that you didn't show up this morning with the USA sweater on.
Well, I am too. Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Wow. So Monty in Lynchburg says the Raleigh is correct. Okay, that makes no sense.
Look at that, QB.
I wasn't questioning you, JC. I was questioning you looking at the wrong thing because explain to me how the 1 seed in the West plays in Raleigh, North Carolina.
First 2 games don't matter with that geography. It all comes down to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8. That's when it matters with geography. I don't understand. It's the way they run their tournament, but it's a great event. Okay, it's a great event. But yes, Raleigh is geographically considered in the southern part of the country and in the eastern part of the country. All
right, so the geography doesn't kick in until the Sweet 16.
That's what I just said.
That still makes no sense to me. You would think about this, right? Let's say Gonzaga, or let's say UCLA is the number 1 seed in the West. Why in the hell would they play 2 games in Raleigh, North Carolina?
Why in the hell is California playing a game in the ACC against Duke?
What? It
doesn't matter. That's the point is that none of this really matters. None of this doesn't make sense. It doesn't. College sports is nuts. It's crazy, QB. It's crazy.
All right. One last text and we'll get you out of here, JC, because Edgar will be calling in here in just a second. This is from
Frank. Watch hockey in
our text line. He says, Shane, did you hang out or have friends from other sports when you were in school? Absolutely. Because people forget, I lived in Yon Hall my entire career, which means all the male athletes were in one place. Football was on the first and second floor. Then you had the spring sports and other sports on the third and the fourth. But everybody, basketball was in there, track, tennis, golf.
Yes.
You name it. We were all there. We all ate together. It was great. I think that was the best part about going to college was living in the same area.
Mm-hmm.
It was very convenient.
But once again,
all the former players.
And once again, logic escapes our collegiate rule making. QB, the thing is, you think too logically about this stuff. You can't think that. You're like Mr. Spock on Star Trek. You think logically. It makes sense what you think. And geography makes sense. West means you should be playing in Tucson.
Right.
But that's not how it works in college sports. And that's why I was making the point where logic would dictate that we don't need to spend $50,000 to say something that's going to take us 5 minutes to say on a Zoom call. So, hey, spend the money. What do you think? I really don't care, because usually if I go to a game, somebody pays.
That's
for it.
right. JC will not forfeit any cash. All right, JC, have a great weekend. I hope your golfers play better than you do today.
Oh man, I'm going to try. It's going to be cold trying to hold on to that club today, but the arthritis.
It'll be like 50-something degrees and sunny.
56, and but the arthritis is being cured, so I should be all right.
All right,
that's fun, guys. Go Gators.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan Number Hotline. Courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick timeout. Come back. We'll try to get a little more serious.
We're very serious, QB. It's Friday. Be very serious.
It is Friday. Thank the Lord. All right. We'll be right back. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back. Our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Sign, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, Okido America, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Nest and Wow, MG&A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Make plans for Thursday, February 27th to be at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill to raise a glass to our Elijah Craig Single Barrel Lunch Party. Be a part of an exclusive evening as we unveil our 9-year-old uncut Elijah Craig Single Barrel. Only bottled at 121.1 proof. Enjoy indulgent bourbon-inspired bites served in a casual mingle-style setting with a Spurrier's twist. Your ticket includes one exclusive bottle of Spurrier's Elijah Craig Single Barrel, signed by Steve Spurrier himself.
It's going to be a great night. Get your tickets at spurriers.com.
The most important thing I learned from my father was work ethic and integrity. Never veer away from integrity, even if it costs you money.
International Diamond Center owner Keith LeClaire.
The core value for IDC is to protect the customer.
That means offering the largest selection, uncompromising quality, the strongest warranties, and honest guidance from experts who are not paid on commission. International Diamond Center at Celebration Point. Online, shopidc.com.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football. Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios, Miapa Latin Cafe. Discover the ultimate Cuban culinary experience at Miapa Latin Cafe. 5 locations in Gainesville and Alachua. You're never far from the best Cuban food north of Miami. Back to the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We're joined by our leading reporter from the slopes out in Park City, Utah, Edgar Thompson.
Oh, gosh.
What's up, Edgar? You look like you're getting ready to go skiing, my friend.
We actually used to have a timeshare out in Park City. Funny you mentioned there. Nice place.
Very good place. Very good place.
Yeah. No, it's freezing, man. I was just out running an errand I had to do. Sorry, I'm a little bit late. And it's like 30 degrees, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, the weather around the country. It's like record low temperatures, and in like 2 days it's going to be back to like, from minus 24 to 75 degrees. So crazy time we're in right here. Dan on Facebook Live says he's heading to Norman today for gymnastics meet with OU. That should be fun.
Lucky.
I'm assuming OU still great. Number 1 in America, right?
They are number 1. Gators number 5. Yeah, that's pretty significant chance for this team. And I love the gymnastics program, and they're fun. They're fun to watch, man. And we've talked about this on here. I mean, those are the best athletes on
Oh,
campus.
it's crazy what they do.
They're doing stuff that like no one. I mean, take Walter Clayton and put him on the balance beam.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he could do something, but he wouldn't probably fall off and break his collarbone like I would.
Yeah. All right, let's jump into it. Taylor on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, I have a question for Edgar. Does he and Billy have a good relationship, even though he seems to be one of the few people that ask the difficult questions? You can answer that, but let's also go ahead and jump into Billy naming Russ Callaway. I'm saying naming, because that's all it is, just a title of offense coordinator.
Yeah, I know. When I texted you, we need to talk about the Russ Callaway hire in quotes. It's window dressing in a lot of ways, and I'm sure he's going to get a nice raise and maybe well deserved. We barely get a peek behind the curtain. We don't get to talk to these guys very often. We get Russ maybe we get him once a year, essentially, and maybe twice now or whatever. Maybe we got him twice last year. I can't recall, but it's pretty unforgettable because you don't get him enough. Mm-hmm. And he's a good dude, and his dad coached forever. Neil Callaway.
Yeah.
He's like an offensive line coach for like 50 years. I was like, oh, so your dad was warm and fuzzy, huh? He's like, no, he wasn't. But he has some, credentials at Sanford we know of, right? Coached some air raid there. Let's hope he's allowed to do something and actually I'm sure he's allowed to bring his ideas, and I'm sure he's giving feedback and suggestions, but how much of that is integrated and how that looks, I guess time will tell. I think, and you and I have talked about whether Billy should call plays or not. I don't think he should, but he's going to. And the other day when he said to a question from one of us, it's what got me here. I'm sure you guys have chewed that one up on here plenty. It really isn't. Billy was hired for his organizational skills, building a culture, and his recruiting, roster building. I think he's showing that he can do that. Has he shown he's an elite play caller? No. And what Russ's role is, we'll see. But
yeah,
he was involved last year.
Yeah, he's been involved ever since he's been here, quite honestly.
I mean, the rumors were, now the rumors, right?
Well, so I've heard rumors like you have. I was told that Russ Callaway called the entire Miami game.
Yes, that's what we've heard.
Yes.
And that was the end of that.
We weren't very good on it. I mean, look, as I've said multiple times on this program, and I'll say it till I die, some games you call good plays, some games you don't. Nobody's ever called a perfect game every game they've called. I think Andy Reid is one of the greatest to ever do it. Mm-hmm. He did not call a very good game when they got their ass beat against the Eagles. It just happened.
They didn't block anybody.
They couldn't block. I mean, sometimes you can't block people. And, we have people talking about, our offensive line. Well, sometimes you're handcuffed and you try to do everything you can to execute plays. And sometimes when you can't block, you have no chance. So as I've said multiple times, there's nothing the fans can do about who you want to call plays, who you want to run your defense, who you want to play left tackle. Just support your team and go with it. And if it works out, you're going to have the same coaching staff here. If it doesn't, you'll have a new coach. And, it's the beauty of sports, right? The beauty of sports. So.
Well, here's a question for you, because you would actually know better than probably anybody. But, well, first thing first, DJ Lagway needs to be 100% healthy, because he certainly wasn't on the stretch. And I've heard he was still sorting through a lot of that even in January with his hamstring, right? He needs to be 100%, and then we can really see. I go back to that first play of the Kentucky game, right? Keeper, I think, or RPO, went around the right edge, gained like 13 yards in the first play of the game. You remember that? First
I
play.
don't. I only remember
Well,
certain things. I
and
don't
next
remember many
thing-
runs, Edgar.
His first play was round the edge. Now, he didn't look like Anthony Richardson, but he was fleet of foot enough. And next thing, that just is, suddenly he's opening up everything. And the Kentucky game was their best game offensively of the year. So, and then he wasn't healthy after the Georgia game. All right, that's one thing. The second thing, though, my question for you is passing routes, the concepts. Okay, David Pollock, right out of the gate, if you recall, right out of the gate, was like their passing game concepts are not good. And he watched like 2 games. Okay. That guy knows football. Why they got rid of him at ESPN still baffles me. But anyway, so someone was saying to me the other day, at the end of routes, receivers are constantly too many in the same area. There's no spacing. I've heard this multiple times from multiple people. The spacing, the simplicity, the lack of preparation it forces a defense to make. These kinds of things are potentially problematic, particularly if you're trying to maximize the talents of what looks to be an elite thrower of the football, maybe a transcendent one, and two young, extremely promising receivers in Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson, along with Trey Wilson coming back, presumably 100% healthy. You actually have some speed weapons to really capitalize on these kids, and will they?
No, I agree with all of that. However, I will say this. There are a lot of teams just like the Florida Gators, regardless of who their head coach or their offensive coordinator is, that have bad passing concepts. There's thousands of them across the country. I will say this. Billy's formula, and it's not going to change. We've seen it for 3 years. He wants to run the football. When you run the football, you're going to get man coverage. Man coverage allows your quarterback to hit big plays and not have to read defenses to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot run the football and teams play zone, we got a problem, because we saw it last year. We've seen it multiple years that some of our quarterbacks have trouble reading zone coverage. And that's not just ours. It's around the country, because the athletic quarterback that comes out of high school is usually the best player on the field in high school, right? So they're going to play a lot of man. They're going to do everything they can. And so that guy can outrun people in high school, and he can look at one receiver and throw the ball to him. That's the bottom line. Are the route concepts what I like and stuff? Absolutely not. But there's probably only about 10-15% of the schools in college football that run good passing concepts. Texas is one, and I'd have Louisville. Ole Miss's concepts are a lot like ours. It's a lot of man coverage because they do a really good job running the football. It's a lot of go routes.
Okay.
Anyway, for Florida to be a good passing team, again, we're going to be able to run the football because we've got great backs. I think our line's going to be good. So teams have to put the extra guy in the box, so to speak, and you have to play man. Because if you just sit, this is why the Chiefs got their ass beat, because the 4-man front of the Eagles handled the entire running game and passing game. So they played a 2-high safety, no big plays. If somebody can do that to us, you're not going to see big plays down the field. It's just too hard. But I understand what everybody's talking about. I get it. But I don't know why people want to continue talking about it, because nothing.
Well, you say it's a commonplace thing, and that's fair. So you're Florida, though. So what do you say, 10, 15%?
10 or 15% what?
Are running really good route concepts.
Yeah, I mean, I sit in the press box and I watch a lot of these teams.
I think we're seeing Billy's not afraid to spend money. I mean, he spends money like with impunity over there. So why wouldn't you go hire one of the guys that's going to make you one of those 10 or 15% if you're the University of Florida with an elite quarterback, and you got to win? this year.
Right, but it all comes down to your philosophy. You know, it's like that would be like
I get
that would
that.
be like somebody, Steve Sarkisian, hiring somebody to come in and implement a running attack, but he's so good at scheming and getting people open. It's hard to find the one guy that can do it all, in my
Okay.
opinion.
Yeah,
It's just hard.
you're
It's
making
a
a great point.
gift. Calling plays is a gift that the good Lord blesses you with. You know, it's no different than, in my opinion, the good Lord blesses people with strong arms, right? Whether you're a pitcher or you're blessed with natural power at the plate. You can lift, you can do all this ab crap and all that, but the good Lord blesses you with talent. Some have it, some don't. And I firmly believe in all my heart that the great play callers were gifted that. And there's only a handful of them in the world.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. Whether I'm
It
right
is-
or wrong,
no,
everybody can disagree or agree with me. It's not going to change my mind.
I don't think you are wrong. I'm just saying, wouldn't that be the quest? And it doesn't seem like that's been, and that's okay. But here's my question. If you're running the same offense that Levi Lewis, 5'10-ish, 180 pound, 90 pound, very elite guy at that level at the Sun Belt, incredible athlete, obviously.
Mhm.
You would run the same offense with that guy that you're running with DJ Lagway? Does that even make, I mean, it doesn't seem like.
No, but it's still, everything is predicated off the run game. It's the run game. I think DJ's an elite thrower. I think DJ struggles against zone coverage though. You got man coverage, he can look at one guy and he's very accurate and can make all the throws against that one defender. So, you know, we'll see.
Well, we saw it at Tulane, 6 points in the first half with 2 picks in the red zone.
Because they played a lot of zone. Played a lot of zone. So, look, it's going to be a fun year. I mean, it's not going to be easy. I think a lot of people are excited about Florida football. I am too. I am still concerned.
Sure.
I'm still concerned. I'm still in that boat. I'm worried about the other side of the ball.
Yeah, well, you probably should be.
Yeah.
I mean, where's the tackle? Where's the interior line depth? You know, who's going to really who are the playmakers? I mean, Triquez Bridges, for example, was a big loss. He was pretty solid.
Yeah, he could play a lot of different positions.
And then they're losing Will Harris, and we're not sure what his impact was.
Was he coaching? He coached the safeties, right?
He coached the whole secondary last year.
I didn't think we were great at the safety position personally.
Well, they got Sinceri now doing safeties, I think. But, and maybe Billy recognized that and thought Will was better with the corners. But that Rasul, I'm not going to.
Yeah, he went to the Raiders, right?
Yeah, and he was coaching corners, I think, too. But they improved a lot back there in terms of takeaways.
Well, we did.
Not as many broken coverages.
We started playing the bend but don't break, keep the ball in front of you, and that's a good philosophy, quite honestly. Let the offense make the mistake or jumping off sides, get the holding call. Teams still went up and down the field on us, but that was the best way to try to win games, and it helped, and we did. We won 4 in a row. We have the longest winning streak in the Southeastern Conference, I believe.
Oh wow! Okay.
Think about that. I could have sworn I read that correctly. 4 games.
Yeah.
Texas has lost. Georgia has lost. So.
Yeah, well, it's a brutal league. And no, I'm excited for this season. I'm not going to come in all skeptical on the whole thing. I mean, I'm actually fairly positive about what's to come. I just kind of wonder, if they're maximizing it. I still think it could be good.
Yeah, we got a chance. All right, Edgar, we're already out of time. It goes by way too fast.
Yeah, well, I was late.
Yeah, it's all good. Real quick, Mike on Facebook Live says, Mike in Dallas, we just keep talking about an OC because I and our fan base have been in football purgatory for 2 decades, and we like to bitch.
Yeah, well, we do too.
We're not the only fan base that bitches, trust me.
Well, look, you got basketball. I mean, the basketball team's phenomenal.
But if they don't win at all, people are going to bitch about something. I love the basketball team. I think that's.
I think, like we were talking, Mark Long and I'll end on this. Elite 8 they got to get at least to the Elite 8. Otherwise, it's probably a disappointment. But once you get there, it's kind of like, I mean, you're going to be playing a really good team, and then you're just going to have to show up. But this team is fun, and you know,
They got some
competitive, confident, determined. So,
dudes. Edgar, have a great weekend, my friend. We'll talk to you soon. Be safe.
thank you, man.
That's Edgar Thompson joining us on the Titan and More Highline, courtesy of Comfort Temp Florida Crackers, the brand for original Floridians. Great food and Southern hospitality in the universe of Brooksville, Florida. FloridaCracker.com. Appreciate y'all chiming in today. Thanks for JC and Edgar joining the program. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Take care.